Hi, welcome to Management 301. Before I get into any details, let me tell you a story, one that very effectively illustrates what this course is about and what the main challenges in this course are. I normally tell this story with an activity that I do in the classroom, but because you're taking this course online, you can't really participate, so you have to settle for simply hearing and trusting me that this is how it goes. Anyway, when I teach this course in the classroom, in face-to-face settings, even before I introduce myself, I do this activity. I come to my class and I ask my students in the class which way is north. And normally I would have about 100 students in the classroom, and they're puzzled for a while, but then I say, no, I seriously mean which way is north. And then they start pointing in all kinds of directions. One thing happens all the time. We have roughly an equivalent number of fingers pointing in any given direction. So you would see just about anything there. And then I would say to my students, well, look around. You see that a good portion of this class disagrees with you. So I'm going to ask this question again, but only if you know the answer for sure. Only if you are absolutely certain you know the answer. Then give me the answer. So, which way is north? At that point, about 1/3 of the class drops out, but then the other 2/3 are pointing still in all kinds of directions. Some people even point up. And then I say, well, you realize all these people in this classroom have roughly the same background as you do. So most of them are, 20-something. Most of them have some work experience. Most of them study, well, all of them study at the UNCG, come from more or less the same background. So you realize, statistically speaking, they are as likely to be right as you are. And so since you're pointing in different directions, somebody's got to be wrong, and you may be that wrong person. So let's do it again. Which way is north? Drop out if you're not sure. Participate only if you're absolutely certain you know the answer. At that point, I would still have about 15 to 20 students who still point in the different directions. I choose 2 that point in the completely opposite ways. I say, are you sure you know better than that student in the red shirt? Are you sure? And the student says, sure, I'm sure. And I say, the other guy, are you sure? And he says, absolutely. And then I say, listen carefully and watch, because this is what Management 301 is about. And what is it about? Even when the evidence is overwhelming that most of you are wrong, somehow you still stick with your opinion and you blindly follow that opinion. And that's the problem in international business. I used to teach statistics, and in statistics, the biggest challenge I had as an instructor was to convince the students that statistics is not that difficult. It's comprehensible. You guys can learn it. In international business, the challenge is the opposite. I have to play this bad guy role, and my job frequently is to prove that you have no idea what you're talking about. That even though you know the word immigration or exchange rate or international trade, in most cases you have no idea what actually those things are. And when the exam time comes, many students find their grades to be unacceptably low because they thought they knew everything. Of course I know who immigrants are. Of course I know that there are different currencies and I know how to exchange them. Of course I know that trading with China is bad, for example, because they steal our jobs and stuff like that. Well, it turns out there is much more to it than most people know. Ask 10 people on the street, like 10 random people on the street, what needs to be done about immigration in the United States. I bet that out of 10, 9 will not only tell you what needs to be done, they will actually tell you that they know better than anybody else, and everybody else must listen to them because they know best. At the same time, take 10 people on the street and ask them something about, I don't know, accounting principles or statistics, and most of them will say, oh, I don't know, it's not my area. Well, the problem is that those people who claim that they know what needs to be done about international business, like all those, NAFTA, international trade, immigration, dollar exchange rate, most people who claim that they know what needs to be done, not only most, in fact, probably all of them, but a few. So most of them have never actually read any specialized literature on the topic. Most of them, all they really know about that is, something from their personal experience and whatever they hear in the presidential campaign ads. But believe me, that's not sufficient to fully understand the topic. So, by the way, at the end of this exercise with the compass, I do actually take out a real compass. I do point, to north, and then, most people say, oh, I didn't know, and then somebody usually, wins and says, oh, I knew. But again, the point of this exercise is not really what the correct answer is. It's about opening up your mind and being open to things that you may disagree with, things that you always knew answers to and they turn out to be wrong, or at least you have to be ready that they may turn out to be wrong. So in this course we will be talking about many sensitive issues, like as I said, international trade, job outsourcing, democracy versus totalitarianism, free market versus command economy, immigration, regional integration, like NAFTA with Canada and Mexico. All those things are hugely emotional. Most of those issues we have preconceived opinions about, and so many things that I will say will be completely different from what you grew up to know up until now. And I just hope you will give me a chance to explain to you my point of view, and in most cases it actually will not be necessarily my point of view. It will be what the data, empirical data, shows us and what the experts on the topic have to say. People who actually work with this, not Glenn Beck on, or Rush Limbaugh or somebody else, or, Obama. Well, Obama, I guess, being a president, he kind of works with that firsthand. But anyway, not celebrities, not people, who do advertisement or campaigns for candidates, but actual scientists and practitioners who work in this area. So I will present to you what they have to say about the topic, and I just hope you will give them a chance through me to explain their opinion to you, and hopefully you will be wise enough to at least listen to that and then maybe formulate your opinion. And who knows, maybe on some topics your opinion will coincide with that of the experts. But again, my experience shows that more often than not, many people have a very strong opinion purely based on emotions and very limited personal experience. But enough of that. Let's talk some more about me and about you and about the course. My name is Vas Taras. I do have a PhD and many people call me doctor, but if you want to impress me and show me your respect, just do your homework on time. And don't give me too much trouble. Just follow the syllabus, and I'll be very happy with that. And call me by my first name otherwise, all right? I got a PhD in international management from the University of Calgary. Before that, I got a master's in economics from the University of Texas at Dallas, and my bachelor's was also in economics. I specialize now primarily in international team management, training development for international teams, evaluation of effectiveness of training for international teams, and HR policies in general. I also do some research on immigration, economic effects of immigration, and things in that area. I have lived, worked, and studied and taught in many countries, on many continents, and I work with people from, at this time, about 80 countries on a basically daily basis. So we exchange emails, not with every single one of them every single day, but at least once per week with all of those people, mainly research and teaching. So I have some decent international experience in many things I will be talking about. I know from doing it firsthand, living it basically. But then again, I can't pretend to know all the answers, and when possible or when appropriate, I will try to present both points of view and tell you what these guys think about it, what those guys think about it. These are the arguments of each camp, and these are the statistics that we have, and you make the final decision. I'm originally from Ukraine, and those of you who don't know where Ukraine is, it's in Europe. In terms of the area, it's actually the largest European country. In terms of the population, I believe it's the third after Russia, Germany, and the United Kingdom. My hometown was right here in the west, close to the Polish border. I moved from Ukraine, or left Ukraine, when I was 16 for the first time. I've been back there a few times since then, but more than half of my life I've actually lived overseas. Lately in the United States, before that in Canada, before that again in the United States, before that in Germany, a number of other European countries. Plus, as I said, I've worked and studied in quite a few additional countries. And yes, I believe this map shows briefly where I've been on a more or less permanent basis, at least for an extended period of time. So quite a few places. Not Africa, not Australia so far, but most of the other places. Let me just go through this. This is my lovely family, my wife and my students. My wife is a student, my wife and my kids. My wife is a student at the UNCG. She is a grad student at the School of Psychology. Disclaimer, I had married her a long time ago before she went back to school, so I didn't take advantage of a student. So just for the record, because sooner or later many of you will find out that I'm married to a UNCG student, so you don't have any wrong thoughts. Now a little bit about this course. Some courses are designed almost like a maze, and to find your way to an A+ requires a great deal of navigation and guessing. This course is nothing like that. I designed it to be as straight as possible in terms of your way to A+. There are no shortcuts, there are no bumps along this road. All you have to do to get your A+ is just, walk the walk. The tricks here, or the challenges with this course design, are that first, the road is fairly long, particularly because this semester is a summer course. It's summer, so we have to compress the entire course into those, like 6 weeks or 5 weeks, and you will have to work very, very intensively. In fact, you will have to walk that same distance as everybody else does in 16 weeks. You will have to do it like in 1/4 of the time, right? You will have only, 1/3, I guess. So not only the road for you will be long, but you'll actually have to go pretty quickly. So there will be many lectures every week because we can't drop anything. This course is offered every semester, and I can't just drop some of the chapters because you have less time. So it is much more intensive. The other disadvantage of the path to your A+ being so straight is because you can't take the shortcuts. Everything is very simple, and all you have to do is just do your work. But the problem is that you really have to do that work. No matter how smart you are, no matter how creative you are, it probably will not help you. And I hate to say that, but this is the reality. You will have to go through all that stuff, and there will be no way to, use your previous knowledge to guess some of the answers to these questions. You can't really do much about it. So you'll have to walk the walk as everybody else. But if you do, it's very simple. You just listen to the lectures every week. You take your tests. If you do that, there is no way you can get less than A for this course. In fact, a huge portion of my students get A+, and you should be one of them. Many fail, but again, a huge portion get A+, probably more than in any other course. So if you need to boost your GPA, this is your chance. Now, here is another activity I do with my students with a real glass, but for the sake of argument, let me show you also on the screen how it works. Is this glass full? I guess for you it would be there, right? Most students see that it's an empty glass, and I always have some smarty pants who say, oh no, it's not empty because there is air in it. Well, let's assume it is empty. Now if I put those rocks there, and I don't have the real rocks, but imagine that I do, would that make the glass full? Well, if you said that it is full, let me redefine the question. If I added some little stones to that glass, would that be full now? What if I added some beer to it? Would it be full now? Well, that's the point. So this activity, or these things, represent very well international business knowledge. So the glass, the empty glass, represents your head. And I'm not implying that your heads are empty. In fact, you may have lots of knowledge there, which may be a problem in this course, because if you have some preconceived notions there, then I will not be able to replace them with hopefully more accurate information. But anyway, the big rocks represent basic knowledge of international business. You know, things like what is an exchange rate, where is Europe, what is job outsourcing. Those are very important issues, but if you know answers to all those questions on these basic questions, you will get an F for this course. There will be no single question on the exam that is common sense. There will be no single question on the exam that is common knowledge. Every single question will be based on the materials, on the course-specific materials. And those are these, little bubbles or pebbles, right? Little rocks. So those are specialized knowledge that you will receive in this course. And this is what you need to know for the exam. So for example, I will not be asking you to define immigration. I will be asking you about specific economic effects of immigration, and you will need to know about 10 or 15 possible outcomes of immigration if a country welcomes immigrants. The same thing, for example, regional integration. I will not ask you what is NAFTA or what countries the United States is a member or is regionally integrated with. I will ask you about specific economic outcomes of, for example, NAFTA, and you will need to give me the effects of NAFTA on wages, unemployment, prices, all those kinds of things. So it will be fairly specialized. Not difficult. Once you read the slides or a textbook, you will know the answers. But you will have to read it, and most likely you will not be able to guess those questions or answers unless you have read the materials. And yes, the BR, that's for graduate school. There is so much little detail on each of those issues, but that's, when you do your master's or PhD in that area, we'll talk about that. So you have the syllabus in front of you. I'm not going to look at every specific detail. Let me point out the most important things that I would like you to know. First, your student ID. The system gives me only the last 4 digits of your student ID. So for the purposes of this course, on all the correspondence, on the take-home assignments, put only the last 4 digits of your ID, because if you put the whole thing, my system will not be able to recognize you. Easy, but please try to remember that. Second, when you send emails to me, make sure that you put Management 301 in the subject line. One, if you don't, there is a slight chance your emails may go to my spam folder. Second, if you don't, at the end of the semester, I will have no way of searching and finding your messages and deleting them, and they will spam my email account for the rest of, for forever. In terms of prerequisites, there are no prerequisites, but Economics 300 used to be a prerequisite for this course. And we still have some overlap between this course and Economics 300. So if you took Economics 300 before, you will see that there are some overlaps, though here I look at the issues more from the managerial perspective, whereas in Economics 300 the look was more macroeconomical. So there will be some overlaps. It may actually help you, but hopefully it will not be a big deal. Now what's that? Moving on, the textbook. The textbook for this course is Wild and Hands International Business. The 7th edition is out, and this is how it looks like. But the changes from the previous few editions, one to the next, have been extremely minor. So if you want to save money, it's okay if you buy the 6th, 5th, or even the 4th edition. The 3rd one is very different, so don't buy that one. The advantage of the more recent ones, especially 6 and 7, is that they were published after the global crisis of 2008, and this particular textbook will give you, or these particular editions will give you much more up-to-date examples and case studies. So if you're really into this kind of stuff, then use the 7th or the 6th edition. If you want to save money, it's okay to use the one from the older edition. Also, if you want to save money, I put together a website or a web page where my current students can buy textbooks from my old students. So this is how this web page looks like, and you will be able to use it at the end of the course to sell your textbook to my future students in the fall. But at this time, as you can see, there are quite a few students who took my course last semester who are selling the textbook, and the prices are fairly low, so you might want to try and contact them and see if you can buy, or if any of those are still available, and they should be. Now Blackboard, you know what that is. Course objectives, you will read that. Course overview, again, you will read that on your own. Course format. As I said, it's an online course, and so there are several ways we can communicate. In terms of the information going from me to you, there will be first all the materials on the Blackboard. Syllabus, slides, video lectures, audio lectures, exams, homework, all that stuff is already on the Blackboard, and if it's not, it will be there by the first day of the semester. Download it all, watch it, read it, listen to it, so you'll have it all at any time. To match your personal learning style, I try to present all the materials at least in 3 different formats. So you have the textbook with the text. I have my slides that I shouldn't probably call slides, they're more course notes. I deliberately designed them to be full sentences, lots of text, so that if you work with those slides on your own, it's not only a bullet list of the main points, it's actually something that you can comprehend if you miss the lecture. You can also use those to quickly go through the materials before the exam. So they're designed that way specifically. What is this? So it's designed specifically to accommodate, to help you go through the course materials. So they're detailed enough to give you enough information, and at the same time not as detailed as the textbook. So if you prefer to read, textbook and slides. If you're a visual learner, you have the video lectures. For every lecture I have 2 different types of video lecture. One where we have talking head format, where you see me in the corner and then the slides in the background. But to give you an even better sense of the classroom, I actually video recorded the lectures that I taught last semester. So you have the real lectures in the real classroom recorded and posted for you on Blackboard. So if you want to work with those, that's perfectly fine. The links to the YouTube videos are also posted in the syllabus at the end of this document. So many of you prefer to stream it on your cell phone, so you have that option. If you want to download the whole file, you have that option, and then just watch it when you're offline. Whatever works for you. For all the video lectures, I also have the audio track isolated, so this way if you, let's say, drive to work or to school or jog or work out in the gym or whatever you do, mow your lawn, you can actually listen to my lectures. So this way you don't even have to waste any time on this, because you can do whatever else you do and just listen to it on, as I said, CD player or your iPhone or whatever else you use to listen to audio files. In terms of you communicating with me, well, obviously emails, there will be exams, there will be take-home assignments, submissions go through the Blackboard. You just send that stuff to me when you are ready, and you know how that works, right? And then, student-instructor two-way communication. I'm in my office pretty much every day from about 8 a.m. till about 5 p.m. It's a summer course, but I'm still in my office most of the time at least. And so if you want to stop by and chat sometimes, it's fine. So, or call me, or Skype me if you want to. All right. Now, video and audio lectures, I told you about that. Should you listen to them? Well, I would say definitely yes. You don't have to, but I would strongly recommend to do that. There are several reasons. First, in the video lectures, I focus on the stuff that is going to be on the exam and drop the stuff that will not be on the exam. It's probably going to be the most efficient way to go through the course material. The book is overlapping with the course material, but there are some things that I added from my own experience, and there are some things in the book that are not good enough, and I'm not covering them. So the lectures, video lectures, are tailored to the exams. Second, in the video lectures, during the lecture, I give you 5 real exam questions. I give you 5 questions that are exactly like the real exam questions, but the content sometimes may be different. But of those 5, I guarantee you that at least 1, and likely 2, will be on the exam in exactly the same format, whereas the other 3 or 4 are just good examples. And so if you watch the video lecture, you will have a fairly good idea as to what to expect on the exam, up to the point that some of the questions you will actually see in exactly the same format. So those are not available in the slides. For those, you have to actually watch the video lecture, and if you do, you'll get that bonus. So if you do it on a regular basis, by the time you actually have the test, you will have previewed a good portion of the real questions. On top of that, I hope they are, the video lectures are entertaining and hopefully educational, and hopefully will spark your interest in international business. So I strongly recommend that you watch them, but then again, hey, if you prefer just to read, that's perfectly fine. If you want to just listen to the audio lectures, perfectly fine too. So whatever works for you, works for me. PowerPoints, I talked about that, they are made worthy deliberately. I feel that way you will have more information. Grades, 3 exams, 25% each, 3 take-home assignments. Of those, 2 will be dropped. 1 will be dropped, only 2 with the highest grades will be retained. If you get 100 on the first 2, you don't have to do the last one. Plus, you have all kinds of bonus opportunities, so you can, at the end of the syllabus, you will see questions in green. These green questions here, whatever side for you they are on, if you write those answers or questions to those answers to those questions and submit them through the Blackboard, I will give you bonuses for that. I always try to improve the course, so you can also get some bonuses for helping me improve the course by correcting my grammar errors, maybe even pronunciation. Obviously, if you have suggestions for any other improvements, like maybe you have better ideas for the homework assignments, maybe you have better ideas for how to design the slides, maybe you run across a video or an article on the topics that we covered that you feel would be beneficial and of interest to all the students, let me know. I will give you a bonus for that, up to 1 point. So theoretically, you can get more than 100 points for this class with a 100 maximum. I actually occasionally have students who get more than 100, so they get like A++ for this course. Letter grades, standard stuff, exams, more or less standard stuff. There will be 3 exams, multiple choice. Just because I have so many of you, I have about 80 students this time, I believe, so it just, reading 80 reports would be a little too much. So exams, multiple choice exams are a necessity. I will give you 3 days for the exam, to write the exam. Once you start, though, you will have 90 minutes. So time your exam well, so that once you start, you can't stop. But I try to give you whole 3 days. So if you work or if you have any other family obligations, you have enough wide window to time the exam or to schedule the exam so it fits with the rest of your schedule. Now, I hate multiple choice tests. I don't think they are a very good test of your knowledge. I know they create unnecessary anxiety and stress, so a substantial portion of the grade also depends on your performance on take-home assignments. There will be 3 of them, as I said. The 2 lowest grades will be dropped, and yeah, nothing very special about them. Let me show you how they look like and how to work on them. So here is your take-home assignment number 1. Page 1 are the instructions, basically the questions. Page 2 is a template that you will use to provide your answers. Just don't get creative. Just type in your answers in the format that the template is in. The reason I'm extremely selective and particular about how you should provide your answers is because I have so many of you. And if each one of you will start getting creative with the format, it just takes forever to read and evaluate your work. On top of that, if the formatting of each submission is different, then your ability to format your answers or present your answers may affect my evaluation of the content of your answer. Whereas if everybody follows exactly the same format, same font, same size, same structure, I can focus more on the content. So first you will provide your student IDs. If you work individually, you will put your student ID first 4 letters. As the syllabus says, you can work on the take-home assignments individually or in teams. If you want to work in teams, your team can be up to 3 students large. It doesn't matter to me how you collaborate, internet or face-to-face. I encourage you to work in teams. In fact, I would like you to work in teams so much that I will even give you an extra point for your teamwork. So let's say if you got 90, it will become 91. So if you work in a team, you will have to provide your IDs here. So for example, team member 1, team member 2, team member 3, right? The only catch with working as a team is that you will have to send me your student IDs 2 days in advance, at least 2 days in advance. The reason for that is I don't want you to be selling your homework, last 5 minutes before the deadline. I've seen that happen before a long time ago. I don't want that to happen anymore. So if you want to work in a team, I encourage that, I support that, I will give you an extra bonus point for that, but you have to inform me about your team composition at least 2 days in advance. It's okay to change your team for the second or third take-home assignment. You can work with the same people the entire semester, or you can change your team as often as you want. But every time a change happens, let me know in advance. If it's the same team, no need to send an email. So first you provide your IDs here, then you give me the trend for the answer. Like for example here, first question, what will happen if the variety of if the job outsourcing was stopped? What's going to happen to the variety of products available to American consumers? And so obviously the answer is shrink, right? So it will shrink. And then you delete this text and provide the explanation. And you can say no job outsourcing. Sorry about the typo. Fewer suppliers, less variety. So that's a good answer that I'm looking for. You don't have to say much. You don't have to use any of that text, noise text, like, in my opinion, or I think. Just get directly to the point. The best answers are short. Just provide a series of keywords showing the causality with arrows. Let me show you how the real submissions look like. For example, here is one from the last semester from a student with this ID. As you see, the answers are very short, to the point, and so he got 100 points, or she got 100 points. The same thing here. So here we see these arrows. The student was very precise and got 100 points. Same thing here. Very easy, very simple. If I go to the one at the beginning, and I have that occasionally, so don't try to cheat here. This submission here, I see that this guy has almost identical answers to those provided by the student with this ID. And these guys also had similar answers. So I will notice if you try to cheat, if you try to copy an answer from somebody else, I will notice that. So if it's too difficult for you to work alone, team up with someone, but don't copy and paste somebody's work. I will see that. When you read them in a row, you very easily pick up all those, similarities. So be very careful with that kind of stuff. And as you see, many students get low grades just because they don't care, apparently, or, I don't know, didn't read the course materials. So don't rely on your logic and don't rely on your previous knowledge. Do read the course materials. If you do, it's pretty much guaranteed you will get high grades on the exams and take-home assignments. If you don't, it would be pretty much impossible to guess the correct answers. So be very careful with that stuff. Now, a few more words on the course. So video lectures, exams, we talked about all that stuff. Take-home assignments, as I said, you can work individually or in teams. Usually about half of the submissions are team submissions. Teams tend to perform better. 2 heads apparently are better than 1. But again, if you want to work alone, that's fine too. As I said, I'm extremely picky about the formatting of the take-home assignments, so try to stick as closely with the template as possible. Don't get, creative. Bonuses, we talked about that. So at the end of the syllabus for each lecture, you have a bunch of green questions, and those green questions are optional. You don't have to read them, you don't have to deal with them, but if you want to show me that you care, if you want to earn some bonuses, send me the answers to those questions through Blackboard, and I will give you the bonuses. Course improvements, as I said, I'm extremely interested in your input. If you see any area where a course can be improved, from typos, correcting the typos, all the way to substantive suggestions, I will be happy to give you additional bonuses. So this is the schedule for the course. As you see, for each of them we have some questions. You have the YouTube link to the video lecture. You have some additional readings. Many of you will be interested in international business, and for each lecture I have some short articles in newspaper stories about the topics that we cover in the class. Strongly encourage you to look through this stuff, but it's not necessary for the exam. Yes, and other than that, exams right here, so nothing unusual.